In the month of March 1995, I started processing the book for its second edition. In the process of my search, I found many new documents from the files of the late author, but one letter of late Sardar Kapur Singh, National Professor of Sikhism, which inspired me to edit and enlarge the second edition. Sardar Kapur Singh writes, "It is refreshing to meet a mind that is still capable of forthright, uninhibited expression on Sikh affairs. It is without doubt a piece of forthright and well-timed argument. I am not surprised that it is being here avidly read by those who receive it. I have no doubt that its enlarged form will be equally and even more effective. In you, I find someone whose heart throbs in union with mine on matters that today impinge upon the state of affairs concerning the Sikhs and Sikhism here and elsewhere. I believe stoutly that to speak out the truth when darkness overwhelms it, and to remain steadfast where others have quailed is the hallmark of the human type. Guru Gobind Singh aimed at producing a Persian couplet in this regard, which has surfaced in my mind." And it says, "I speak uninhibited truth, and this is what satisfies me. I am a true lover, and no customs and conventions bind me." And then a quote by Siri Muhammad Iqbal, "May the Lord of the White Hawk be with you always and everywhere." In 1977, the first edition of the book was released, and its 10,000 copies were sold in the US, Canada, and the UK, and other Western countries. From 1977 till date, neither Yogi Bhajan nor any one of his spokesmen could controvert a single passage of the book, thereby establishing the authenticity of the book to the hilt. In fact, Prem Kakar, his one-time secretary and spiritual wife, in her lawsuit against Yogi Bhajan, relied upon the contents of this book and exposed Yogi Bhajan's criminal activities under the garb of Sikhism. When this documented exposure of Yogi Bhajan's anti-Sikh activities, with the active connivance of our self-styled Panthic leaders, Gurcharan Singh Tora et al., was published in 1977, Gurcharan Singh Tora, or Yogi Bhajan, instead of controverting, confronting, or weakening the facts of the book, hired Professor Kartar Singh to write a critical review of the book of the author, Guru Nanak, founder of Sikhism, 10 years after its publication. Professor Kartar Singh prepared a perverted review of the book. This SGPC rejoinder, published by Dharam Prachar Committee, was confined to printing mistakes. When Kartar Singh found a misspelt word, he accused the author of coining a new word in English. Misspelt. It's ironic. Whereas in this so-called rejoinder of 28 pages, there are about 300 mistakes in spellings, grammar, punctuation, and historical facts. I do not know why he did not consult his dictionary to find out the meaning of the word rejoinder. Rejoinder to what? Sikhism and Tantric yoga? Then it is a unique rejoinder of its kind, the likes of which I have not seen before, and can only be prepared by writers like Kartar Singh, by his semi-literate paymasters and adversaries of Sikhism, Gurcharan Singh Tora. Kartar Singh does not believe in the usage of many words, because he was obsessed by the Babu English taught in India in the 20s of the last century. Every day we read in the newspaper, Prime Minister or chief minister's camp, but a camp for him simply means tent, although he himself has used the word several times in his book, The Life of Guru Gobind Singh. Among the misprints, there are some howlers. Transpired has been printed as trespassed. Many such corrections were given in the errata, which he refused to see, because then he would have no material to spit his venom. Fowlers in the modern English usages have given many elegant usages of shall and will, and the author happened to use one in the whole book. But the hired author, Kartar Singh, believed that Fowlers are wrong and he is right. Kartar Singh knew that he was not writing his so-called rejoinder for literary people, but for semi-literate, self-styled government-backed leaders like Gurcharan Singh Tora, and he was aptly paid from Dharam Prachar funds of the SGPC for this balderdash. The most shameful thing in this so-called SGPC rejoinder were insulting remarks against Dr. Suniti Kumar Chatterjee, who had better knowledge of Sikh history, religion, and theology than Kartar Singh. He read illuminating papers on the linguistics of 2 hymns of Guru Nanak at the International Oriental and Linguistic Conferences, the likes of which no scholar has written till date. Dr. V. Raghavan has translated Guru Nanak's Baramaha Tukari in Sanskrit and has read research papers, the likes of which Kartar Singh could not write during 80 years of his life. In this rejoinder, Mr. Kartar Singh exposed himself to ridicule by showing his historical short-sightedness while commenting upon Guru Nanak's stay at Saidpur. Under the heading Queer and Questionable Statements, at times he, Guru Nanak, took ak fruit, which particularly grows in sand, as it is sweet and harmless. How I wish that I could make the author taste some of it. The plant is poisonous and extremely bitter. This historical fact has been quoted by near contemporary apostle Bhai Gurdas in his Var 1, Pori 24, line 1 through 2, which the author has quoted and translated on page 67 and 76, but the hired historian considered himself intellectually wiser than Bhai Gurdas. The intellectual dishonesty of the hired writer is visible to the naked eye when one reads his self-contradictory and self-defeating statements in his book, The Life of Guru Gobind Singh. Quote, to assuage these physical pangs and to stimulate the blood and nerves, Guru Gobind Singh took a little milky juice and some tender leaves of the ak plant. Reference 30. When leaders like Gurcharan Singh Tora, posing as savior of the Sikh Panth, misused the SGPC funds to promote the anti-Sikh forces and condemn the just writers, it is not surprising that during his tenure of 29 years as the SGPC president, that all the anti-Sikh forces flourished to cut at the roots of Sikhism at all levels. Instead of taking some remedial measures, Yogi Bhajan had advocated his Tantrism in his books and journals, The Teachings of Yogi Bhajan, The Man Called the Siri Singh Sahib, Furman Khalsa, Tratakam Meditation Photo and Info Sheet, Beads of Truth, and Kundalini Quarterly. Such actions on the part of Yogi Bhajan leaves gnawing doubt that distortions are deliberate and not accidental, or due to ignorance of the basic tenets of Sikhism. The new balderdash that has spewed from the 3HO headquarters in the garb of Sikhism is a planned and motivated attack on the theology, history, literature, culture, and philosophy of Sikhism. I have taken due care that not a single distortion of Sikh ethics and theology by the Mahan Tantric of the world, Yogi Bhajan, should be left from being controverted and exposed in this revised and enlarged edition of the book. Vern A. Dusenberry, in his book, Sikhs at Large, Religion, Culture, and Politics in Global Perspective, Oxford 2008, has expressed similar views and in fact quoted this book also with the following comments, quote, "In his latter years, legal cases filed against him, Yogi Bhajan, his close associates, and the organizations themselves, and various exposes by former members provided and continue to provide plenty of ammunition to his detractors, both Punjabi and non-Punjabi. A quick internet search will uncover the variety of anti-Yogi Bhajan sites, including a site posting relevant court documents, which is yogibhajantripod.com. Online Sikh diaspora group, groups.yahoo.com/group/Sikh diaspora, and an ongoing discussion forum moderated by an ex-3HO Sikh Dharma member, forums.delphiforums.com/KamalaRose/start. The book is not against any individual or organization, but is a humble attempt to present to the world the sacrilegious distortions in the name of Sikhism by Yogi Bhajan in the West, in connivance with the dons of the SGPC and Jethedars of Ecclesiastical Court of Shri Akal Takht Sahib and hired scholars, in the hope that the Sikhs all over the world will take up the issue in right earnest to restore the pristine purity of the Khalsa doctrines by spreading the real message of Sikhism wherever they live." I wish. It should be an eye-opener to the Sikhs all over the world, to the dangers the community is facing from the self-styled gurus who are continuously attacking the Sikh scriptures, Sikh doctrines, and well-established historical traditions and ethics, in connivance with the self-styled saviors and panthertons of the Sikh community. The Sikh community is watching the activities of these gurus trading in the name of Sikhism, and in this category comes Ashutosh, Baba Banayawala, and Dara Sacha Sauda, Chief Gurmat Ram Rahai Singh. The danger is from within. The danger is from within and not from outside. The Americans always learn from experience, and the Americans who will go in the right direction after the bitter experiment with Yogi Bhajan's mumbo-jumbo, tantric asanas, and mantras will learn more easily and more vividly the illumination and experiences of Sikh mysticism so clearly portrayed in the Adi Guru Granth. All their experiences with Yogi Bhajan will be what the mystics call the dark night of the soul. All the vernacular words appear with full diacritics throughout the book. Strictly speaking, transliteration means letter-by-letter transcription from one alphabet to another. Hence, in this book, a dual system of transliterating vernacular words into Roman characters has been followed. Sanskrit, Hindi, Braj, Persian, and Arabic words have been transliterated according to a modern Western system, universally adopted by the scholars of Indiology. Another system has been followed for transliterating Gurmukhi script according to Gurbani grammar, with all the orthographic signs which are of grammatical significance and are not pronounced. In this category comes F. Shahari and I'll just let you see that because okay. And if you're familiar with the International Phonetic Alphabet, you can know what that means. They are given within the text and not in brackets. The practice followed by many scholars, similarly, the word, not to be found in other scripts, but spelt D in Hindi, are to be discarded to maintain the originality of the Gurmukhi script. Okay, so this is notes on pronunciations of the transliterations. I'll just let you read these. Because it's symbols and you can't necessarily read symbols. So just so you know. And I'll have pictures when he's talking about translating and transliterating. I'll just include pictures of those pages in the future so that you can actually see them. So that's notes on that, and then this continues to talk about notes on the text itself. So a little bit of technical information. I'll go ahead and stop there and I'll continue to read that next video. Thanks for watching.